wait a minute. You got to call Anthony. I'm on the air now.
Okay, okay.
Talk
I
to
hear him. I
talk to
hear him.
Anthony. Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the United States Socialist Republic. That's what I'm calling it from now on. We are in a lot of trouble. We have no checks and balances. We're going to have a Democratic governor, a Democratic president, a Democratic Congress, and a Democratic Senate. A lot of different bills are going to be passed that might not like, but it is what it is. We got to live with it. Um, I think Congress is mad. They have this thing now about at the end of the prayer, "Amen" is a woman. I don't understand that. I don't know if anybody could explain that to me or explain it to anybody. That is just crazy. I don't know. The whole the whole the United States, everything's going crazy. Okay, look at what's happening in Washington D.C. today. Forget about it. But we're going to talk about that later. What I'm really concerned about is China's influence in this country. Okay. Every once in a while, we have a boogaboo in our country. During the Second World War, we had Germany and Japan. Then we had Russia. Russia was the boogaboo. Everybody, oh my God, everything's Russian, the communist, this, that, and that. That kind of dissipated, even though nowadays they're still active trying to get involved with us, certain things. But the Chinese are really, really pushing at it. Matter of fact, um, I'm thinking of learning how to speak Cantonese or Mandarin. No, I'm kidding. Um, the Chinese have a lot of money. They are a huge country. They have used capitalism in conjunction with communism, which is kind of unusual, but not anymore. Nothing's unusual anymore. Um, China is buying property in the United States under different names. They're buying. I understand they're in negotiations to buy General Electric for $4.5 billion. Now, General Electric is a multifaceted company. They have all kinds of different companies intertwined with them. So that would be another foothold for the Chinese. I understand that they have developed some property in an island in Australia, off the coast of Australia, which they intend to make into a some sort of amusement or tourist attraction. And I understand the people there are very nervous because they're forcing people out. They're acting a little uh, tough. They're being tough. But what I'm really concerned about is Taiwan. The Chinese always claim that Taiwan is a renegade part of their country, this, that, and the other. Now, we've been defending them with the Sixth Fleet in the China Sea for many years. And I'm afraid, and I think a lot of people are afraid that under Biden, he might let them just take it over. And I wouldn't be surprised. Biden is bought and paid for by the Chinese. It's proven many times over. Uh, his son Hunter, with the laptop, computer, emails, back and forth, getting a $1.5 billion investment in one of his companies. And by the way, he still has an interest in the Chinese company. Now, when Bobolinsky, who was the CEO of one of his companies, and pulled away and gave a very detailed and very factual description of what transpired, nobody believed him. But they believed a woman that 30 years ago had allegedly was groped by a Supreme Court judge nominee with no evidence at all, and they believed her and didn't believe him. So we are drifting to the left, seriously drifting to the left, and it's concerning. Now, China is also buying up a lot of property in the United States. Now, I don't understand how they're doing it. I'm sure they're doing it through shell corporations or what have you. Um, One of the things I know, one of my companies I do work for, a security company, a few years ago, told me that they were being sought after by a Chinese security company. They want to buy them. So if they're buying security companies and they're buying General Electric, they're buying a lot. They want to take over this country because the United States has always been the trophy. Everybody loves to hate the United States. People come here from other countries, from shitholes, come here to get all the benefits, and then they try to make this place a shithole like where they came from, especially in Minnesota, where we have a couple Ilhan Omar. Their area is Obama put all the Somalians in one area. And, according to our Constitution, the way we operate, if you have 450,000 people in an area, that's a congressional district. So they have voted for their own people. That's very common, very common. And so we have three Congress women from that area that represent their people, and they are the squad, okay, with AOC and whatever. And it's just a foothold. They want the United States to become a third world nation. That is the goal. The goal of United Nations. The United Nations. I don't know if you remember a few years ago they had I think it was called Article 21, where they wanted to take our guns away. They wanted to take guns away. They want to have a peace. When the United Nations involved in peacekeeping, they suck. Like Rwanda and Africa, their own people got killed. They're peacekeeping for it. They had to hire mercenaries to get their ass out of trouble there. I mean, they're so full of shit. Um, so uh, Mike Marciano just said socialism 101. That's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing socialism right from the get-go. And without checks and balances, we're in trouble. Now, here's what I suggest. After today, you saw how many people barnstormed Washington, D.C. We're going to talk about that in depth. But you see what people are pissed off now. The silent majority is not silent anymore. They're saying, wait a minute. Antifa can go and riot and burn things. Oh, let's see. We got a message here. Let's see. Okay. 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 Soon. Um, what we have here is the beginning of socialism. Now, there are Democrats that are not socialists. There's medium, moderate, whatever, but they're still liberal. Okay, now you could be liberal and not left, but you're wavering towards that. So, what we have is we have to have people get together. We have to get the conservative Republicans, not the rhinos. You know what a rhino is? Republican in name only, like Mitt Romney. He's a scumbag. He's a punk. He's a backstabber. That's why he lost his election in 2012. He could have beat Obama. He had the Benghazi a month before the election. He could have brought it out and milked it. No, he didn't. He's a punk. Okay. Now, Biden is paid for by the Chinese. There's no doubt about it. And I asked people to argue with me about that. Okay. Hunter Biden was paid for by the Chinese. Matter of fact, there were pictures of him having sex with underage girls on their computer. Now, in China, that might not be against the law, but having the images in the United States is, and I don't know if anything's going to happen to him. If his father's the president, he's going to whitewash it. Whitewash it. Biden had the prosecutor in Ukraine fired who was investigating the Burisma, who Hunter Biden was on the board of directors. He actually bragged about it in a video. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. All right, we're going to talk about the craziness that happened today in what? Let's bring Teresa on. Teresa.
Hey, how are you
Hey,
doing?
how you doing today?
Doing
Sound like
pretty
you got
good.
a cold.
I'm getting over the Rona.
Okay.
I didn't die. I'm one of those survivors.
Okay. So What's your opinion about what happened today?
It was a very bad movie script, in my opinion. Um, oof. Just so much fake news going on, in my opinion.
All
Um,
right. Well, we're very opinionated here.
right, there you go. I just feel like I need to
It's
clarify.
only
So,
opinion. Okay.
so I'm not
Well,
eliminating anybody's
one thing that's
opinion.
one thing that's not fake is there's hundreds of thousands of people. I don't. They say a million. I don't know how many people were there, but
They're not even
this.
showing that on TV. It's personal cell phone footage that we're seeing the
Yeah.
real things. I have a cousin there right now, and she's with her son. And, you know, I was hoping she would jump on this podcast so she can, validate what she's
Yeah.
experiencing, but maybe at a later date. But the the shooting, um, the fakest thing I've ever
Now, the
seen in my
woman
life.
was unarmed that was shot.
I'm just okay. I have very close ties to the can't ever remember the name of the school, but the school in Parkland, Florida, the Valentine's Massacre, and somebody with a weapon is not just going to shoot once. That is not their goal. Their goal is to, terrorize or take out as many people as they can. I saw the people knew exactly who got shot. That doesn't happen. I mean, when Reagan got shot, I mean, there was Secret Service all over the place. They were trying to figure out who got shot. Um, they Reagan was in the car before they realized that he got shot. So they reacted too quickly. It was mock. It was a very bad movie script, in my opinion. If you get shot in the neck, in the head, what have you, even if you get hit with a rock, you're going to have blood everywhere.
Now you saw the
So
boy the young man that gave an interview. He had a little blood on his hand. He said the woman was next to him. If she was next to him, for what you said, and I have a medical background as an investigator, there would be blood all over the place, especially in the neck.
everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere, and
But
people
I did
were.
see a picture of some woman being carried out in a stretcher. A person, not a woman, a person.
I'm a
Uh,
medic from the military. In the army, we would do mock, like uh, a squad of us medics would go out and do a mock recovery of soldiers,
mm,
and we had the same bandages with the same type of blood.
mm.
I mean, first of all, they would not display that unless they were trying for a shock factor.
All right, then
You just
what you're
don't see
saying,
that in medicine.
what you're saying is that maybe this was a fake. That this was
Very,
fake, just
in
to
my
skip.
absolutely. I mean, they do it better in the movies. Shame on them. Their reactions of
All right, what is your reaction to the people that were wearing MAGA hats and they were Trump people? What's your opinion of that?
okay. We okay. The adults here are keeping their mouth shut and letting only because you don't plan a war in front of everybody like Antifa and Black Lives Matter and whatever is going on in Seattle and Oregon. It's
Yeah, but they
ridiculous.
were peaceful. They were peaceful. They were burning building.
Absolutely.
They were burning buildings and looting stores, and they were peaceful, according to Biden and Kamala
From
and the
my
liberals.
yeah, from my understanding, no stores have been looted.
No,
There's no
no.
fires in the
But I have to
street.
admit, I'm
You
pro
know,
Trump, but the fact that the people stormed the Capitol and everything did not look good for Trump. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't
well,
think.
okay, with that being said, movie script, if you will, Soros paying for it, the Democrats, they've got a script going on. So they pay people to do these things because if I'm seeing a Trump supporter, a patriot, or what have you, I believe that they would bring their guns to the show. They're not going to climb walls. And I mean, the people that were walking in, I saw footage where people were walking in between the ropes and looking around with their cell phones, and they weren't breaking windows. Now, timestamp, have no idea when that was videotaped. I'm scripts. I've
Well,
seen
by the
videos.
way, I read something where they stopped all transmissions of cell phones and
Yep.
videos. So
However, the person was videotaping that.
without a phone, if he took a
I
video with
just
it,
don't believe anybody anymore. My cousin, I just did a wellness check on her, like I said. My cousin is my age. She's there with her son. He's in junior high school. And I did a wellness check on them, and it didn't sound like it was craziness going on. Um, I would, I wish she would have joined this video, but I think it's all scripted. The people that are busting the windows, that's so Antifa shit. That is so right or left wing. That's I'm telling you, I'm watching and talking with people that are they're patriots. I thought I was a Republican, but I'm a constitutionalist. I have read the Constitution over and over and over, the amendments here lately, and I'm like, people have no idea what the Constitution says. They're being read to or told by the media what the Constitution says.
yeah, that's true. People don't they don't want
So
to read. They want to hear. They want to hear what they want to hear. Very
yeah,
simple.
exactly. It's like a Constitution
Now,
for
let me ask you
dummies.
something. You were in the army. You were a sergeant in the army. Am I correct?
I went in sergeant. No, 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 no. I was PFC.
Okay. So
So
you have experience being in the army,
correct.
and you saw the alleged riots today. I would say alleged. It was
I,
rioting. It was,
I
for what I
have
could
been
see.
okay. I don't watch fake news. The news that I watch is from like Australia, from
Australia is very honest. They
eh,
love the United States. They love Trump, and they hate the. I have
I
I get 25 emails a day from Epoch, Louder with Crowd. All the conservatives send me. Unbelievable.
see. I even listen to Russian news just to see their take on what's going on over here. And
They're laughing at us.
well, not laughing. They're like these patriots. They don't understand what the left has no idea. They're playing their video games. They're watching, the movies. They don't realize what war is about. They don't realize the finality of this. They don't realize what can of whoop ass they just opened up. Because being a soldier, you're a constitutionalist, regardless, because that's what our job is. We have sworn to an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, not the politician, not, it's an unlawful order to go against Constitution of America.
Let me ask you something. Do you? I understand there were a lot of ballots by the army ballots that were thrown out or misplaced, and most of them were for Trump.
Okay. I did this with the first election with Trump and Clinton. All night long, I was watching the ballots coming in because I didn't want Hillary in. I wanted to know if and when Trump lost. With that being said, I screenshot the TV all night long. So I did the same thing with this election, but I gave up at like 1:30 in the morning. Everything was stalemate. I didn't understand what was going on, but I screenshot twice, like within a minute. And Biden's numbers jumped like you would not believe. And I was like, well, isn't that odd? So a few days later, I'm not the only one saying in that odd. I have proof on my phone there was fraud going on.
Yeah, but
Okay.
if you saw it, I saw it, people saw. How come the courts didn't want to do anything about it? I don't know how
I
many
think
lawsuits they had. How many?
there-
They never got a chance to show their evidence in court.
well, this is conspiracy theory, Teresa. I think these people's families have to be in danger by whomever to just blatantly go like this. Justice is not blind. These people are so rogue, so blatant, so just. There's not an article about Trump that they don't say unsubstantiated evidence. So
Well, I
read
think you just
through
hit the
and
nail. You hit the nail on the
unsubstantiated.
head. They hate Trump so much that they went out of their way, and I don't understand how Trump said from day one that there was going to be fraud, but he didn't. I don't think he actively did anything about it. I don't think he was prepared for it, or if he was,
Well,
he didn't do.
I think he was going off that enough people would, you know, believe him. And then it seems to not matter that it's like, look, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. And they're going, we're going to put you in an electric chair anyhow. You
Look
know,
at the video in Georgia where they stopped counting, and all of a sudden they told the Republican observers to leave, and they got ballots come out of nowhere, and they started counting them again.
right. I,
And I mean, anybody who watched the news saw
I'm
that Trump
curious
had
why.
20, 30,000 people come to see him, and Biden had maybe 10 or 20, the most.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I mean,
nobody in
that,
their right mind could possibly think Biden is of sound mind.
no,
No, there
that
is
alone is
no
that alone is
way anybody
suspect.
in their right mind thinks he's in sound mind. And they prefer him over somebody that they don't agree with how he talks.
Well, you got to
That's
remember, Trump
generation of
is not
people
a
not getting there.
politician. He's not a politician,
That's
and
what
he
we
wasn't
like
part of the
about him.
club. The
That's what
Republicans
I
didn't
like
like
about him.
the Republicans didn't like him. The Democrats hate him, and the only Republicans that sided with him are the ones that they went along party lines. He said, "I'm going to drain the swamp." When he said, "I'm going to drain the swamp," he meant Republicans too.
Trying. He's trying. He doesn't even give a crap who it is because we have found that the FBI, I think they're just as rogue.
Oh, definitely.
The the list is so stupid long. But with all of this being said, I do not understand why President Trump has not invoked the Directive
Okay, someone just
51.
called in. How do you lose
Oh,
600,000 vote lead in the middle of the night, early morning on Pennsylvania? He was ahead 600,000 votes. All of a sudden, he loses that. Now,
well, I have never seen a negative during counting. How do you get
I don't know how
because
anybody how they could say there's no evidence. The machines are screwed up. I mean, the whole thing was so wild. Now, every election has some fraud. Every election has dead people voting. Every election has mistakes. There's every from day one. But what happened here was just remember this show is law and disorder. We're talking about the disorder. The disorder is the fraud, how they manipulated, how they told Republican observers to leave, and they kept counting. I mean, this is disorder. This is crimes. These are frauds. I'm a, and I don't know how the rest of the now. That's why today showed how the American public is really pissed off about what went on. But I don't know if there's enough people to make a difference. How do we make a difference? Anybody
well,
watching the show, please uh, text your answer or your comment, because how do you make this? How do you make this happen? No, don't happen again. Now I want to ask you something. If you get a COVID-19 vaccination shot, you got to show an ID. You go on a plane, you got to show an ID. You go anywhere, you got to show an ID, but you don't have to show an
You
ID to
walk
vote.
into a liquor store in Indiana, you have to show an
Yeah,
ID. A liquor store.
the Democrats don't want that because that's where their base is. Their base is they've always pandered to the poor people. Okay, they are the elitist, and they pander to the poor people so the poor people could vote for them. And it's been said, and don't quote me, it's been said, I'm quoting somebody else, that the Democrats have the blacks on the plantation. That's the scuttlebutt. They are so they give them free phones, they give them welfare, they give them all this stuff. And the blacks that are hardworking, family people, they don't like that. But they're a minority within a minority because a lot of I don't want to sound like a racist, but a lot of the black people, they've lived that way for generations. They bang out 5 or 6 kids. They're on welfare. They get all kinds of benefits, and they're happy. They're very happy with that. Of course, the taxpayers have to pay for it. The elite, the rich people, the movie stars that have made hundreds of millions of dollars, um, they had so much. All right, let me see. Put that up. Last time the Capitol was breached was 200 years ago. I know Trump always will be our leader for the party, and let's remember to find people support and love Trump because he's willing to fight. Where too many Republicans are weak rhinos. We believe that a good speech is all that should be expected of them. They're wrong. In today's America, better be totally dedicated, ready to fight. Because if you're a conservative, then you are the one being targeted and harmed. Very good, Los Angeles. That's another patriot. But
We can only
after
hope
today, what's going
Antifa
to
Black
happen
Lives
after today? Are the
Matter.
people that went to Washington, D.C., what more can they do to make this happen, to make this, to fix the problem? Or can it be fixed?
It's being done behind the scenes. I promise
Oh,
you.
the
Promise.
globalists have a foothold. They got 2 feet, not a foothold. They got the whole body in the place. They've been George Soros. He's behind this. He's got Obama with him. Nancy Pelosi. A lot of people. Some people are into this blindly. Some people think it's what has to be done. And what bothers me is a lot of these people believe that's the way we're supposed to live. That's the way we're supposed to. There's no middle. They don't want a middle class. The middle class is what showed up in Washington today. You know that.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And the middle class are the ones that have all the guns to protect themselves. And they want to take the guns away. They want to take away the Second Amendment.
Good luck.
And they want to pack the courts.
Good luck.
Now that they have a majority in the Senate and in the Congress, they could do anything they want.
Well, it's an unlawful order, so the military
Yeah,
would
well,
not
we're going to
do it.
riot. The
So
American
who's
people are
going
going
to
to
do
riot
it?
again in December, D.C.
See, it's not going to be a riot. Those are the kids that are playing. They're rioting. When we step in as patriots and we'll show you force,
Let me ask you something.
maybe
You said something before about fake news. Do you believe that some of the people that were at the Capitol and stormed the Capitol might have been planted by the left just to make it look bad?
absolutely.
Yeah,
How
I
can you be
agree.
calm and calm and calm and calm and calm, and
Yeah,
then suddenly Antifa shit starts happening? That's it. I mean, it's just not natural for somebody to snap like that or a crowd to snap like that. And if that was going to be, that should have provoked a mob mentality that it only happened with a skirt of people.
mm,
In my opinion, because if there's millions of people there, there's enough people there to move the rock and mortar. I mean the building. There's enough people to overtake that entire building. But it just happened to be what, maybe about 400, 300, 200 people. And
yeah.
it just,
All those people there did not rush the building. It was just a smaller group,
right.
and
So that's
the
why I
police were
said,
able to contain them. They were
yeah,
able to contain them. So
contain the large masses. It would have
yeah,
been a mob mentality if that was the mindset of the patriots that were there to represent us patriots. They told them they're not allowed to take weapons. They didn't take weapons. I'm telling you, you're not going to get one shot off unless you get tackled in a crowd when you have a loaded gun. You just the purpose is to take as many people with you before you get taken down, right? In that
Well,
mass shooters mentality, not to shoot one person in the neck. Maybe it was an opportunist murder, but then again, there wasn't. I didn't see any soldiers, no cops. They weren't even rendering care to her. Nobody put their hand on her neck.
all right.
Nothing.
Mike Marciano says it's a new dawn. I think he's right. I think, Mike, I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry to say I have to agree with you. It's a new dawn, and we have to live with what's going on. We have to be strong, and I believe that. This amazes me. The Democratic Party is against religion. They're against prayer. They want to take away "In God We Trust," and this thing about at the end of a prayer, "Amen, a woman." Where does that come from? Where does that come from? They are assaulting the family life. They are
Well,
against.
they're counting on the idiocy of the American people because there's a huge group that is spoon fed everything. They believe what's being told. It's the gospel. They're not going to read.
Okay,
They're
let me
not
ask
going
you.
to,
Let me ask you
cross
something.
reference.
You can't pray. You can't pray in school, but Muslims can pray 5 times. They could pray in school, but the Christians can't. Isn't that hypocritical?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Um, see,
We got a quick,
I'm not a
message.
Satanist.
Excuse me,
However,
Trish.
okay,
We have a quick
uh-huh,
message from our
go
sponsor,
ahead. Mhm.
Little Italy Auto Repair and Parco Associates. Background checks, investigation, land. That's my daughter's company. Of course, we're going to promote them on the show. She's really good. She learned from me, and she could teach me a few things. She's pretty good. She's pretty sharp. Especially my daughter really works for women that have boyfriends or they meet men online. Half of the guys they meet online are full of shit. They're liars. And she investigates them and lets them know that they're not telling the truth. Okay, now back to the show. Okay, so the Democrats are assaulting family life. It's kind of well, the Saul Alinsky's principles of socialism, which really communism. You destroyed it. You destroy family life. You just take away the guns. Be in charge. Take charge of the media, which they've done. Okay, and start dissension amongst the people, which they've done. And this is what they're doing to us. And
I
what are we
don't
going to?
understand why President Trump has not invoked. It's a
The Insurrection Act.
Communication Act of 1934, um, where he can pretty much commandeer communication,
Yeah,
all
I know.
communication management.
I think
He's
I
not
think he's
invoking
afraid. I
it.
think he's afraid to do that. It'll be tantamount to him being a dictator. They
I
call him.
I
They
he was
make so
playing
many things
soft on
about. They
that.
say so many bad things about him. What's one more?
Well, President Kennedy, he executed that order in 1962.
Yeah,
So that
he
was the
died in
last time it was
'62.
invoked. And this is another thing I don't understand why President Trump isn't
Well,
invoking.
Trump still has another week or two to make up his mind if he's going to do something like the Insurrection Act, the Executive Order of 2008, 2018. Um, if he could show that there's some foreign intervention like for example, the Chinese were involved. Do you know that the ballots for the elections in Georgia were made by a Chinese company? The
Yep,
blank
I heard
ballot.
all about it.
Yeah,
Yep, yep.
and
Insane.
um, the Chinese influence is very strong in this country right now. Very strong.
That's
They want.
absolutely
But
everything they
let me
try
tell you
to
why
do.
Australia loves Trump because they know Trump is going to stick up for them. They're, Australia's afraid that China's could swamp Australia.
Yeah,
And they're
China.
afraid that with
China is
Biden's going to kiss
advancing.
the Chinese, that Biden's going to let them. Now, Biden is going to let the Iranians enrich their uranium to 20%. Now, you have to enrich uranium to 90% to make a nuclear weapon. They're not too far away from that. Under Trump, he stopped that. Obama let them. Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
gave them their
Right.
money back. Now, who's worried about that? Look, they're not going to bomb us. They're not going to bomb us. They're going to bomb Israel. They vowed to kill Israel. They vowed to do that. And
Do you
when
know how many avenues in the
the
United
squad
States
makes
they can get
statements
to
against
us?
Israel, no one says anything. No one says anything. If they make a statement against Israel, the squad, it's okay. Anybody makes a statement against a Muslim country or Pakistan, oh, Pakistan gets $10 million for gender studies. We could use that money to pay people the $600
It's
stimulus or
our
2,000.
money.
I don't understand what.
I don't.
Now, the only thing I could understand is you and I are not babes in the woods. If someone's getting $10 million in Pakistan, then they have a lobbyist that put the seeds in to Congress, and they're getting paid. Somebody in Congress is getting paid. A few people are getting paid for that because everybody has a piece of the action. So what they call is pork. So, for example, a senator or a congressman from Illinois says, you know, we need $500,000 to build a ski rink, a skating rink for the kids. Okay, you got it. Because they all put everybody has something, their hands into something. Okay, so $10 million for even the, like Michael Corleone said, it insults my intelligence. You're right, Mike. It insults, and people let. I don't know why people don't call up these Congress people and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, in New York City, we have a lot of Congress because it's a large state. Um, you got Jerry Nadler who shit in his pants on TV. I don't know if you saw that. The guy, he's a fat pit. I went to one of the Democratic. I go to a matter of fact, I get hired by one of the Democratic clubs when they fight with another Democratic club for people that are dead voting against them. You know, inter-party when we have the leadership thing, and it amazes me. It amazes me how crooked they are. Even to themselves, they're crooked. They unbelievable. Now in New York City, Mayor De Blasio, who's the worst mayor ever in this city, ever, is going to be out of office finally. So you got, I think, 17 people vying,
Congratulations.
vying for that job. It's the shittiest job in the world, being a mayor in New York City right now. I don't know how they're going to get the city back. People have left the city. The only people that are living in the city are the ones that they have co-ops, they have condos, they make good money, they live in a good neighborhood, they have their own protection. But certain areas of the city you don't want to walk in, and the garbage, the homeless, it's disgusting. Then they put homeless people in hotels in a good neighborhood, and then they make that neighborhood shitty. It's never ending.
Same thing in California, Oregon, Washington.
Yeah.
They're all leaving those states. There's
I
people
want to
in
ask you something.
Seattle.
Why does this happen only in democratic cities? Why only in democratic cities? Can you tell me that?
Oh, because it's governors are just cushioning their pockets, and um, I uh, I can't fathom. I can't even fathom why.
Well,
Why?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because they give
Yes.
out, they run out of money. They give out all kinds of freebies, and they put so many. I'll give you an example. Mayor De Blasio's wife, Shirlene, I don't know, forgot her last name. She doesn't use De Blasio. Shirlene has 27 or 28 assistants helping. When is the first lady of the mayor? I've never had. You have maybe one person as a secretary arranging your social event. She has 27 people. I forgot how many millions of dollars they spent on the payroll. Ridiculous. They're all her friends. She put all her friends. Plus, she has a program called Thrive. It's supposed to help mental disease, mental $850 million. She can't count that. She don't know where it is. She can't explain that. I don't know why anybody has not investigated her. I'm sure a lot of that money went into some secret accounts. I
Probably
don't know
all of
why. You know why they
offshore
don't
right
investigate?
now.
They're afraid they're going to call you're a racist. You're a racist if you investigate.
Well,
I
Sweden's
remember
Vinny
recently some
Parco is back.
Democratic uh, person. I forgot what state. She was an assemblywoman or something. She got caught and convicted of stealing, I don't know, $500,000. When she was sentenced, you know what she said? It's racist. How did you stole money? They put you in jail for that. How is it racist? It's racist. Everything's racist. The story of the boy who cried wolf. He cried wolf. He cried wolf. Finally, he cried wolf, and the wolf was there, and nobody listened, and they both ate him up. Okay. Well, I don't know if it's a proper analogy for what's going on here,
I
but
think it's just the opposite right now. They're calling wolf, and everybody's getting excited about where's the wolf? Where's the wolf? Still,
well,
I don't understand. I can't not think for
okay.
myself, so I can't
Let
understand
me
the
add something to
mentality.
the let me add something to this dialogue today.
All
John
right.
Ossoff, who won the Senate in Georgia, he's a new senator. He worked for the Communist Chinese Party (CCP), and he worked for a company in 2017. Okay, now also Eric Swalwell was involved with a Chinese spy, and nobody says anything about it. Now they took him off the intelligence committee. Now Dianne Feinstein, who I believe they took her off some of the committees, senator from California, she had a driver for 20 years, a Chinese driver who was a Chinese spy. And nothing happened to her. Nobody said anything. Now, she's been a senator for how many years? 30 something years. When are they going to have term limits for senators and Congress people? These
Well,
people, I'll give you an example. Chuck Schumer has been a senator in New York since 1975, came out of law school. He's never had a regular job. Some of
I
these
would
people
like to
never
do a
had a
full
regular, they just
investigation.
worked in
Hear me out.
politics.
Hear me out. I would like to see a full investigation for every one of these elections this year. How many of did Nancy
Yeah.
Pelosi really win? Did she?
All right,
I would
let's
like to
say you
see
do
the
an
real numbers.
investigation. You can't overturn the elections, but let's say you investigate 20 or 30 people that were violated and they committed fraud. Are they going to prosecute them? They didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton. She broke the law 38 times.
Hmm.
She did everything. Nothing happened. Her
Nothing.
laptop computer was with her assistant, Abella Humadin. Her husband, the pedophile, had pornography on the computer, that laptop that Hillary gave her. I mean, if I did that or you did that, we'd get arrested. We'd go to jail.
Hmm. Hmm.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Um, Now, this show is Law and Disorder, but we keep talking about politics. That only tells
Sorry, sorry.
one story. Politics are corrupt,
Hmm.
and we got criminals running the country. Now, they claim the gender studies money claim is false. Please, this shit is public record. You can look up the budget. Even Lindsey Graham defends the money to pack because it isn't for gender study. But why did they say it was gender? Robert, I want you on the show next week. Robert Emmett Murphy. I love this guy. Uh, New York City is still the safest city in the U.S. Oh, Robert, I want you on the show next week. I want to just. You're saying most cities. Yeah, most cities that are democratic have high crime. Why? Because they don't support the police. They don't look what happened in Portland. Now the mayor of Portland, who was actually protesting with um, the rioters. I call them rioters, the protesters. His house got vandalized. They try to hurt him. Now he's against them. Now he wants to get the cops back. I mean, come on. Same thing in Seattle. They defund the police, and all of a sudden, no police, the crime rate goes up. Robert Emmett Murphy, I love you. I want you on the show next week. Cool. I'll talk to you about it. He's a good guy. He's a liberal, but I love him. I can love liberals. I can love him. He's a good man. He's very sharp. I gotta do my homework with this guy. Got to do his homework with this guy. Any other comments? I love when people comment. I like the feedback. Okay. So, where do we go from here? Where do we go with the politics? What is Trump going to do? Is Trump going to cause more dissension? Is Trump going now they're claiming that Trump caused the two senators to lose because of what he did. And it was actually, they mentioned that before, and he said, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They said, well, it's going to hurt. I don't know if it did, but it's possible. Now, keep in mind, the Democrats had people come from other states registering to vote in Georgia illegally.
They doubled the registration between the two elections from the age of 18 to 35. Doubled the registration. Yeah. How does that happen in what it's been? Month? 2 months? 2 months? Yeah. Right? So anyhow, it's blatant, in our face. Anybody that you know,
they did this,
reasonable.
They're going to do this again. This is going to be done again. We are going to be only. Now, here's the problem that I have.
Okay.
I like a two-party system. Okay. I don't like all Republicans, and I don't like all Democrats. I like a mix. You want to mix. You want to have dissension. You want to have talk. You want to have common something where they could talk together as partisans. We don't have that. We're not going to have that. They're going to vote
so much
their
hate
way.
on both sides.
Now, the only thing that could save us is that in 2 years, the congressional election, that the Republicans can take more. They did well this time, but not good enough, not well enough, and they can have a majority. That would be nice. That would be good.
If there's an election anymore, I mean, this might go south real fast. It could. And then the election is like, election doesn't matter. It's either not going to matter, or we're going to fight for it to matter. It's going to be one or the other. We're not just going to sit by.
What I'm worried about is after today is that there might be some, I wouldn't call it a civil war. I would call it civil unrest. And I mean, you know, I could see now. It's funny. I was before I a couple hours ago, I had the TV on. I was watching ABC News, and I'm listening to these. I don't want to mention names. I'm listening to the broadcast. They were talking about today's protest as if it was the white supremacists taking over the country. I was getting sick listening to them. And they started mentioning the groups that the patriotic groups, and naming them as all white supremacists. Now I can't use name the begins with a P and a boy. You know, I can't say that on the show because I got in trouble for that. Okay, they are considered a terrorist group, but Antifa and Black Lives Matter are not. Go figure that. Go figure that. Okay, and the mainstream media is run by the globalists. I had a chart showing all the incestuous relationships between ABC, NBC, CBS, Hillary Clinton, all John Kerry. John Kerry's daughter married an Iranian doctor whose father was involved with the politics of Iran. I mean, unbelievable. And then Obama gave all that money back to Iran and gave them the carte blanche to enrich uranium. Now here's what the problem is. You're giving a rogue. Iran is a rogue nation. Okay, they want to take over that whole area. Okay, they had wars with Iraq for years. And now, by the way, we should have never went after Iraq a second time. Bush was the only Bush went in there. Bush went into Iraq a second time, which was bullshit. He went in there because his father and he and the vice president at the time, they own Halliburton. Halliburton is the company that uh, Halliburton is the company that does the construction, security. A lot of one of my guys that when I was on a show with, 82nd Airborne, he was a subcontractor making big money. What is it? What does a PFC make a month? You know, 100,
Uh,
200.
Under 2 grand.
How much?
Under 2 grand, but that's been
Okay,
25 years
but
ago.
but
So,
a month. Okay, but when
uh-huh.
you're a contractor, you make that in a week.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
Or better.
they had the security contract. So the Bushes, I don't know if you know that George Bush, the father, was a brilliant man. He head of CIA, vice president, then became president. What he did with the Saudis, he said, "Listen, you have all this oil. You have, you have. Will give us the oil. Let us sell the oil to us. We will be your protectors. We will have the army. You don't need an army. We'll be your army." That's how that was the quid pro quo at that time. And Bush just kept making money. They're still making money. They're making money, making money. You know what's funny? George Bush, the father, Obama, and Clinton, they had a little meeting. They took a picture with them. They left Trump out on purpose. They didn't want
Oh,
Trump in the picture. They
mhm.
don't want him anything to do with them.
I cannot imagine being treated like he's being treated.
They don't like. They want anything. First of all,
Showing.
Trump in the primary, the Republicans in 2015 to 16, Jeb Bush spent, I think, $100 million, and he got nothing. He got nothing. And Trump spent hardly anything. Believe it or not, he tweeted everything. He's a tweeter,
Mhm.
and he knocked everybody out one by one. But how he did it was he was nasty about it. He was very abrasive with the other, making fun of Rubio, saying he's got a small dick, all that kind, all. I mean, he had all this, but it worked for him. But it didn't work
Mm,
from this election.
mm.
I think people got tired of his, you know. Yet he did a
If
lot
you
of good things.
believe that, if you believe that it was a just election, then you would believe that away. I believe he won. So,
Here's my rant, my complaint, whatever you want to call it. What they did at this election, they could do again. Now it could affect the Democrats too. Now you have a faction of the Democrats that are somewhat moderate, liberal moderate. They're in towards the middle. Then you have the left, the squad. Okay. Now there's a dissension in the Democratic Party to some degree. They want to take over. Actually, AOC wants to run as a senator against Schumer next I think in 2 years. So she doesn't want to be a congresswoman anymore. She wants to be a senator. That's going to be a
mm,
problem with him because he's not liberal enough for her.
mm,
Meanwhile, he's the one that said MS-13. Oh, him and he and Nancy Pelosi said, "Oh, they're like a family. These are killers. These are killers because they're from a foreign country." I said, "Oh, we have to bring them in." Meanwhile, they've terrorized Long Island. Who who took care of that? Trump did, and with Sessions, who was a piece of shit attorney general, but under Trump's orders, he went after them, and they put a lot of them in jail or deported them. They would have terrible killers in Long Island. I mean, they terrorized Long Island. You don't hear about them too much anymore because they're all underground. Now with Biden coming in, we're gonna see what happens with them.
Wow. Um, I've been saying President Trump is going to be the Serpico of our government. Hopefully,
Well,
hopefully,
I
because
think
there's so much road
I
going
hope
on.
he does some. If he does something drastic, in the next couple, well, he got what, a week and a half,
Yeah.
maybe 2
Mhm,
weeks.
mhm.
This could cause another civil unrest. I
Okay.
hope it doesn't happen.
It'll be pockets. It's not going
I
to be
wish
the whole
I wish he
country.
could do it legal. I wish he could do it with the Constitution, with the law. But if he doesn't, we have to support Biden. Now, Biden needs a lot of support. He needs support when he walks to the lectern because he can't. He needs support when he starts
Mhm,
talking.
mhm.
Actually, he gave a speech today. He sounded pretty good. They might have,
Okay, I wanted to touch on that. You know how everybody has body doubles? Like Saddam Hussein, he had like 13 body doubles
yeah.
that would go out and okay. I have been noticing in the last week, Biden is sounding like he's just blah, 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 and he's talking, he's not swinging, he's not going off script. So uncharacteristic of Biden, which means I conspiracy theory. I think they've got a body double. They probably
No,
already have him. I'm just saying.
that's
He,
a real. That's a good conspiracy theory there.
I'm just saying he is so. I mean, listening to him right after the election, he does not have his
Uh,
wits
they,
together.
they,
They
they, they,
probably got him in a nursing home somewhere
they give him some sort of amphetamine, or they give him some sort of drug that gives him,
to make
you
him
know,
smarter
uh,
or be able to say his words.
they give him
He has
Adderall. I
not
think they give him
slurred his words.
Adderall. I think they give him a shot of Adderall before he gets on there, and then they get him off there before it wears off, so he
I'm
doesn't.
just saying that here in
By
the
the way,
last week,
we are the
he
laughing
doesn't
stock of
slur
the
through
world to
his
have a
words
president
anymore.
that like him, because he's definitely has dementia. There's no two ways about it.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, he hasn't slurred in a week.
okay, we are ready to rock and roll. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank
You were
you. I
very
appreciate
enlightening. And
it.
let's see if I got one. Any people? Anthony, anybody giving any more comments before we leave? What about this cretin one? Oh my God, Warnock, who won the election. He beat his wife. He racist in church. He's a reverend church. He embraces Marxist principles, and they elect him. So we are basically the United States people are getting what they asked for. They asked for this,
Mm,
they're getting
mm.
it. I know people that were there lead into the captain by Capitol Police. The media is lying. They told me the media is lying. This was a big setup. I believe you,
Thank you.
Los Angeles.
Thank you for my validation. I agree. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I want to say goodnight to all our faithful and loyal listeners. On Arthur Avenue, we say Sempre Noi, which means in Italian, all of us will be always with us. And thank you. Next week, we're going to have more guests. We're going to have somebody from the Independent Party, and I want to have a liberal on the show so we can have some discussion, especially Emmett Murphy. Are you listening? I want you on the show.